What's good, everyone? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is JB.
And welcome to Slick Talk with a hashtag
Yes.
and friends. Hey,
Yes.
hey,
Hashtag Slick Talk and friends.
If y'all watching on YouTube, y'all see all these beautiful faces. Look at everyone. Yes. Yes.
So happy to have you guys here with us. It's a great time to have this type of conversation. We're celebrating Black History Month, celebrating Black excellence. Everybody that's on the call right now is Black excellence. So proud of you guys for what you guys are doing and what you guys are contributing to our culture. And again, like Deb was saying, I'm happy to have you guys here. We're going to get into some things. Just want to let the listeners know that the purpose of this conversation is to motivate each other. You know, we tend to not get as much recognition as we possibly would like as podcasters and creatives. We have a lot of celebrities and influencers that are coming in and, you know, essentially taking over, you know, perspective fields like podcasting and, you know, being creative. And we think it's about time that we stepped up and motivated each other and inspired each other to celebrate our greatness and our excellence and those that came before us as well. So we hope that you guys enjoy this episode. We're going to get into it. Dev, if you want to go ahead and introduce the first guest.
Yes, we're going to have everyone actually introduce themselves. We're just going to call y'all names, okay?
Exactly.
So first, we have the ladies of the Barcoded Chat. So welcome, y'all.
What's up?
Hi. I'm Sydney.
I'm Niteria.
And we're Barcoded Chats.
Yes, we are from Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome, you guys. And after them, we have Kenny that works for Blavity News. Welcome.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm excited to be here. I'm in Detroit, too, so it's kind of late, but I have all this energy because I'm juicing lately. So thanks for having me.
Yes.
All right. And then we have Jared of Boys and Brunch.
Come on.
I thought the space bar was going to let me talk, but I guess not.
It's all good.
But yes, I'm Jared D. King of Boys and Brunch, live Sundays at 1 p.m. on YouTube if you want to check us out. And I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Jared. Next up, we have Milan from the Black Book podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. Okay.
Yeah, I like it already. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? My name is Milan. I'm the host of the Black Book podcast. I'm super excited to be here. I'm from Atlanta. I'm just excited. I don't really have much to say. I'm ready to get into the conversation.
Yeah, I know that's right.
And we also have Rodney with us from A Brother of a Certain Age.
Good.
Hey, what's going on, family? This is Rodney from A Brother of a Certain Age. I'm out of Connecticut, and I misread the email. So at 5 p.m. Eastern time, I was ready to go. So
oh, goodness. Sorry about that, brother.
That was on me.
But we have you here. We're glad you're here. Next up, we have actually a dear friend of mine. We've been friends for a number of years now. He actually recently was on one of our episodes called No Fats, No Femmes, in a sense. We have Elias the First. What's going on, Elias?
Hey, what up, everybody? I'm Elias the First, the host, the thought process, and everything behind my YouTube show, Drink and Dish. So check that out. It's a good time, and I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And last but certainly not least, we have the co-hosts of the New York Dose.
Yes.
What up, everybody? It's your girl Adaloso, just in case you didn't know. So,
what's good? It's the conductor of the train, your boy DJ SJ614, and we are
the New York Dose. What's good, everyone? Thank you for having us.
Happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I'm appreciative so much because we were a little nervous. We didn't know how this was going to go, if people were going to even want to have a conversation with us. I mean, like, we've never done this before, but to have you guys here and, you know, I know you guys are ready. We're going to answer these questions and, have a celebration and have fun, and hopefully the listeners enjoy. So Dev, you want to start it off? You want to start with the first question?
Yes.
Me.
Of
Yeah.
course. So the first question, and I will throw this to, let me throw it to Milan. So first, everyone will have an opportunity.
Yeah, everybody has the opportunity to answer.
So as a Black podcaster, how has the journey been for you so far? As one of the newer podcasters, how has it been for you so far?
Exciting. At first I was nervous, super nervous at first, because I didn't know what to expect, but jumping in head first, I had a lot of coaching. I had a lot of friends that were very supportive. So it was an eye opener, in the same token, because I say it's an eye opener because the friends, the people you expected to support you really weren't there, but the friends that I had no clue about just came out of nowhere, out of the woodworks, and were supporting me. So it's exciting. I've been in it. I've been doing it for about a month now, and I'm loving the journey. So.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about the ladies of Barcoded Chats? How's the journey been for you so far?
Well, we just started about a year ago, and we actually just started the video portion in January.
Yes.
So it's just, we really just went kind of balls to the wall with it, and we just said, let's do this, let's start it, don't think about it,
Right.
don't give any excuses. So we just been rolling with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Milan. The people that you expected to be there weren't there or weren't as supportive as you thought they would be. But the people that you went to high school with that you maybe just passed by the halls, they're the ones sharing and subscribing. So I definitely agree with that. So it's definitely just keep pushing, and it's the strangers that are going to support you the most. So definitely be just grateful for that.
And Jared, I know that you have been working and producing stuff since what, 2015? Is that around the time you started? How's it been?
I've been doing stuff since since I started writing. So I did I did a series of interviews with other authors in the Black LGBTQ community. And I tried to do some other things on YouTube, but I wasn't really good by myself. And so I knew that I had to get with a couple of people to kind of have a back and forth with in order to actually, kind of have a good flow on camera or on a podcast or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's been a big growth for me since then. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to, like Niteria, I believe, said, you just kind of have to go balls to the wall with it and just, not really worry about whether it's going to be the best thing or whether it's really going to just whether the high quality of it or anything. You just kind of have to go with it and learn as you go. So that's what I've learned.
Yes, awesome. Now, Rodney, what are some of the high points that you've experienced thus far with your show, and some of the low points that you've experienced?
Well, the low points for me is creatively. So I had done another podcast before, and it was me and a co-host, and it was easier for that immediate feedback. I felt like I thrived with that. We did 16 episodes and then fell off from there. So the idea of doing an individual podcast and talking to myself, was just kind of, I need that immediate feedback. So the lows was stopping that initial podcast. I felt like we had momentum, but as relationships go in any, form, sometimes you just go opposite directions. So that was the low point. But the high point was just kind of getting back to getting them creative juices going again and and I'm excited trying to find my footing.
Yes, they say as long as you don't answer yourself, you're not crazy. So
but I do that a little bit. Don't we all do that a little bit?
Just a little bit.
You should have heard the conversation I was having with myself when it was 3:30 and I was getting ready to turn the Zoom on, and get ready, and then I realized it said Pacific time. You should have heard that conversation.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But now, Kenny, as a creative, can you give a little bit, about your background, your story, what your trials and tribulations, if you care to share, and some highs and lows?
Yeah, thank you. So I started off like just appearing on my friend's podcast, just talking about trending and current events. And then I was a pop culture writer for Blavity, so a lot of my pieces at that time, and still like touched on how to show up and stand up for Black LGBTQ plus folks and Black women. So that was that, and just appearing on podcasts, that was a life for me. But then a few months later, I got offered a second role for on-air hosting, and I just noticed, like, people, haters just started coming out the woodwork in my comments and stuff like that, like Tory Lane's anarchists DMing me and stuff like that. It was crazy. But on the other hand, I noticed, like, all of the success that I was achieved, that I'm still having. I'm grateful for it, to be able to interview celebrities and stuff like that, and just talk about Black culture. So, but the haters who come in my DMs and comments, they don't realize that when I get off camera, I do know how to fight, but it's a whole different subject.
Boop. What'd you say? Now, the New York Dose, y'all started, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but y'all started back in 2017. So you're one of the longest running shows that we have out of all of us. Actually, as far as the shows that are here, one of the longest running show. So give us a little bit about your journey and what you've been through and your experience, highs, lows. I love hearing y'all evolution. It's been dope.
Yes, so it was definitely an evolution. We were actually a different podcast called the Bodega Podcast. And I would say that was, Derek was on it first, and he brought me on. When you mentioned the hallways of the high school, was me and Derek. Like, I see him passing, and then years later we connected. So it's been a journey, but I would say a low from that first podcast and me getting into that world was we had to rebrand after that. There was a bad apple in the group, and we made the decision to rebrand and birth the New York Dose. And I feel like at that moment I was holding on to it, to Bodega, and then Derek was like, no, we have to just start over. And I was like, can we curse on here? Okay, I was just like, damn, like, it's just like, the Bodega, you come get what you need. Like, we had all these cute segments. And then he was like, no, we have to start fresh. And then I wouldn't say it was a low at that moment, but then a beautiful lesson, because of just like, sometimes you just have to leave that and start over, and it's going to be better for you, so.
Yeah, for sure. She speaks about that transition. Before that transition, during that transition, after that transition, as you've said, like, I've been around for like a little bit, right? And my biggest thing was always being that, because the New York Dose is not just, like a podcast. It's an entire brand, From the moment we decided to do this, we saw the bigger picture. We saw where it could go. We started chasing, like the empire of it all. So when you're doing something like that, we learned that the biggest thing that you need in order to remain consistent, which is, is a team. We realized that we couldn't do it by ourselves. You know what I mean? Today, we've been in production all day. We have a team member right here in front of us, we found a group of people that believed in the vision as hard as we did, as hard as we do. And, the thing that I always say is you got to get the right people in the right seats on the right bus to get to the right destination. And that's always been my goal and my objective from the first time I ever got on air and, decided to, start running shit. Because, there wasn't too many people back then of our color listening to podcasts, actually.
Right.
So
you started in like 2016, 15.
Right. Yeah. So for a lot of the people on here that said that, you know, it's not going to be the people that you really know that support you. We found that to be true in the beginning because they didn't even know what a podcast was. So we realized that we are the ones that kind of introduced like our community to podcasting in a sense. And we just appreciate all the love all the time and the growth. We are so about the growth.
Yes. And that's dope. And you know, yes, you can cuss, by the way. So
oh Lord, oh my God.
Say what you need to say. But no, you know, and Elias, I want to get to you as a final point. But you know, it is definitely been a common journey, I think, for all of us, that for some reason going into it, we believe that the people that has had our back like all our lives is going to be the ones that are going to support us, push us, promote us. But generally that's not the case. You know, it's the people that picked on you, the people that like didn't believe in you rather. And they're like, oh, you starting to get numbers. Let me go ahead and I know this person. Let me push you. You know what I'm saying? So any creatives that feel discouraged because of that, keep pushing because people are watching you. But last but not least, Elias, tell us a little bit about your experience, your growth, highs and lows, and everything going on so far with you.
I'm actually very opposite of everyone. When it comes to support, my support has been my village. I'm not one of those who got support from randoms and like most of my followers. I ain't got many of them because we a little engine that's trying, okay? But all of them are my friends, are my family. So for me, I'm kind of opposite of everybody else. My whole village supports me. They're posting, they'll call me like, when's the next episode? When's this? So they're the ones who actually keep me encouraged because there have been times, especially I started actually it's been a year this month that I started my YouTube journey. And the first half was great. The second half, woo, because 2020 was a shit show. And I just had some things going on at the last half of the year. So it was real rocky. But for me, like that support has kept me going. Like I may have maybe 5 people that are not my personal friends that follow me. And they follow me because my personal friends and family have shared and done all that. New York Dose says, having the right team, the right village. My team is my friends and stuff. They get over here all the time, no money, no nothing. And they just, they work it out. And that's very important, like they said, to have, the right people around you to help push you, help motivate you. So that's been my experience so far.
Yes, love it. Well, shit. I mean, I love it. Let me get your family now. No, but that's dope. Honestly, no, that's really dope. And that's what's necessary. Having that village and that family and building that team, right? Like I think we're all in the process of building that team right now and having those people around us that genuinely support and love us. But JB, you got the next question.
Hey y'all, so I actually want to answer that question real quick too, if that's all right. I didn't get a chance, but I'll be quick with it. Because I know we got, a couple of questions. But personally, my journey with podcasting since we started in like 2018 has had its ups and downs, just like I think everyone else's has. But what I've managed to do is every down that we've had, I don't keep it there. Like I make sure that I'm down for a day, and then I'll bounce back and be in good spirits, or if something doesn't work out involving the podcast at one time, I make sure not to sit in that moment and beat myself up, because I understand that this is a journey, and then I actually agree with what Elias was saying as far as like family and friends being supportive. I've definitely been blessed myself to have a strong support system in my family and my friends. And that has literally translated from just anything I want to do in life to this moment now with being a podcaster. So I'm just completely grateful. And I try to give that to my friends as well. I support anything Elias to do, even if it's something I don't necessarily agree with, as long as it's not illegal. But I'll support anything my friends or family does. And so did you want to answer that question, or should we move on to the next the next time you can answer the next question, Dev, if you want to. Is that okay?
I'll answer the next one, but shout out to my family that don't listen because I talk about sex and stuff.
Right. Listen, my family listens. I talk about that. So the next question is, how do you guys feel about lessening our blackness to be able to connect with a more diverse audience? Is there a need to do so? So how do you guys feel about that? I'll ask, let's see. I'll go to the New York Dose first, since they were one of the last ones. There you go.
I feel like no, you should not lessen, but go
absolutely not. This ain't even a secret. White people love listening to Black folk talk. Like white people be tuning the fuck in. Like, you know, they watch, they observe, they steal. So be yourself. Be your the motherfucking black self that you are. Build and they will come no matter what, okay? Even the people that you don't want to come will come. They will come just to hate, as Kenny was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like they're still tuning in. So no, do not shrink yourself whatsoever. I mean, like we're we're Afro Latinx podcast, you know, Black, all those things. And we have a multicultural team. There are white people on our team. There are white people that give us feedback. They love what we're doing. It's be you.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that's right. You have something else that you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I believe the same thing. Like, even when it comes to like just your personal brand too, like I feel like you kind of think about that as well. And I think it's just the more I'm learning, because I'm very like particular like about like, you know, my posts, like when it comes to my personal brand. When you're those, I'm on it. But you know, just like trying to connect the two of like, sometimes we could overthink, like it could be too much, and that could be like history of other shit that, you know, from being in school and all that shit that just carries on, you know. But I think it's important to really be yourself and post what the fuck you want to post, because you're gonna find your audience from that. Like, and you want those people that could relate or just even love the content that you do from that. So
Period. Thank you so much for that feedback, for that input. Those are great answers. So we can move on to, let's see, Niteria and Sydnee. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about lessening blackness to appease to a diverser audience?
You want to go first? Yeah. I definitely don't feel like you should lessen your blackness. Lessening your blackness is making everybody else feel comfortable, and that's not what we're here to do. Making people feel uncomfortable is making them change, and that's what they're scared to do. So we're just gonna keep being here. We're gonna keep pushing our blackness, you know, and we're gonna make them feel comfortable with us one day, because we're here to stay. Like it's inevitable.
Yeah, and we actually we have like a flip of that, because we really like to review TV shows. And so we kind of understand where everybody's coming from when they say building a brand, because we do more than podcasting. We have YouTube as well. But so we kind of were having a debate on the type of shows that we should branch out more to, because we watch kind of the like white reality shows. I love me some Summer House. And so we just are trying to figure out, like, we're like, oh, are white people gonna watch it because it's Black people reviewing it, kind of a thing? But I'm like, I think we should just do it because it's such a different type of video and a different type of perspective, because I know we're not gonna have the same thoughts that they're gonna have when watching those types of shows.
Right. So, and just like you said on New York Does, like, white people love to hear Black people talk, whether it's the way we talking about something, our take on it. They just love, they're infatuated with us, let's be honest. And it's awesome. So yeah.
No, absolutely. I know that's right. I appreciate hearing that. I do have a follow-up question for you guys though. So we know now that you're not going to lessen your blackness, you know, for the more diverse audience, but is that important? So that would be my question. Is a more diverse audience even important at times, or is because you have certain celebrities or influencers that directly, like let's say a Tyler Perry, he literally makes movies, we would say, for Black women, I personally believe. So he's cool in that lane that he's in. Do you guys want a more diverse audience either? Or are you guys just, it is whatever?
I mean, to me, it's whatever because we watch whatever shows and we're going to review them. So whether you're black, white, whatever, if you're going to support us and watch, then that'll be awesome. But I feel like we're going to review shows, whether it's going to be a black audience, a white audience, or whatever, because we're very diverse with our shows. You'd be surprised at what we watch.
But even more, like even past that with the podcast as well, though, I think we want, definitely a diverse audience. And that's why we try to have we don't try to limit ourselves to the amount of topics that we have on our show. We try to kind of cover a little bit of every aspect so that everybody kind of has something to maybe tune into.
Got it.
People can share all kinds of different things despite your race or, so.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. That was eloquently said. Next up, I'd like to ask Milan, what do you feel? Are you lessening your blackness? And I say this as one of your listeners. Are you lessening your blackness on your podcast or anything that you do creatively?
Absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not. I'm at the fucking there. But I say that, and I'm the oldest of five. And one of my purposes of doing this podcast in the first place was to show them that they can be their natural selves, period. And if this year hasn't shown us anything but uncomfortability, it's time to get uncomfortable. I feel like we need to make people uncomfortable that aren't in our ethnicity or within our ethnic group. So absolutely not. It's time to get uncomfortable. That's the sole purpose of my podcast. And you know that, JB. So I'm not listening to anything. I want you to understand where we're coming from, how we're coming, and people will support. They'll support Absolutely. You if they actually like it. I think people look at how do I say this? They start to love you. They look at you. I'm trying to put the words together, JB.
Like trying to see if you're sincere or if you're a real person or authentic type of stuff.
Yeah, like they'll love you or hate you, whether. How do I say this? I can't get the words out.
But I get what you mean though, because I mean whether you try to be something else that you're not, or whether you're yourself, they're gonna either love you or hate you. Either way.
Yeah, like I'm not listening.
So the best bet is just to be yourself. At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we're gonna head over to Kenny over there, looking comfortable. Okay. So what about you, Kenny? Do you feel like you need to, I mean, even this could be a broader question for you, even with speaking with celebrities or certain, white celebrities, do you feel like at any point you need to lessen your blackness or do anything to make them feel comfortable or to have your articles reach a broader audience?
No, so like I'm reminded of Whitley Gilbert's quote from A Different World. There was this one episode where she said, why should I curb my brilliance to accommodate your insecurities? So, and I say that to say, I pride myself on writing about real shit. I pride myself on talking about real shit. So in turn, I have to, in good conscience and good faith, be a real person when I put myself out there. So and I feel like I don't even want you to support my work if you are comfortable with me lessening my blackness or putting myself into a box where I'm not my whole authentic Black self. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want you like on my, on my radar or just supporting me, because you don't really support me if I'm not really being myself. You support the image that you want me to be. So that's how I feel.
Exactly. But I do have a follow-up question for you. And then if anyone else wants to answer this follow-up question as well, just, let me know, do a little reaction and we'll call on you. How did you reach that point where I guess you could say you feel comfortable in your Blackness and you know that you're not going to bend or you're not going to backtrack or be anything else other than who you are? Was that a journey? Like, how did you get to that point?
Yeah, it was a journey, actually. So like my job that I had a year ago, I don't work there anymore, but the one before Blavity, I was working in higher education at a PWI, a public white institution. I believe that's what that stands for. But, I would write about Black students, and my colleagues and my superiors, they didn't like that. So they tried to restrict me in a box because I wasn't highlighting the Beckys and the Toms who were being praised for their mediocrity. So that was a journey. And I was like, okay, well, bump this. You know, I'm about to start just being my whole self and getting out of this box, period, and writing about Black things. And then the journey was like that whole idea, or that, you know, that mentality that led me to opportunities that I actually loved instead of like being at a job that I hated. So it was like a full circle moment. Like, oh, I don't have to restrict myself and write about mediocrity. I'm doing what I like.
That's dope. I'm so happy that you're here because I love your articles. I love your interviews. You do amazing work. We're going to head over to Elias the first. What about you? I know I'm asking this question as well, already knowing, you know, being a fan of your work with Drink and Dish, but how do you feel? Are you lessening your Blackness at all at any point?
Oh, absolutely fucking not. That goes without saying. And that, for me, to tie into your follow-up question, like, it was a journey for me as well. I grew up in a predominantly white town out here in California. I am a full-blood Cali Valley boy. You know, I should have been in an 80s movie. Like, that was the kind of environment I was raised in. So I would go from living in a white community to moving to another town in my youth where it was much diverse, and learning my Blackness and learning all this and coming to realize and going through that journey of, I'm not going to dim my light to make others shine. We can shine together, but I'm not going to dim who I am so you can shine, so you can feel comfortable. None of that's not happening. You either take me as I am or leave me.
I know that's right, friend. You better say that as you drink your drink. I know that's right. Okay. So we're gonna go over to Jared. How do you feel, Jared? Like, are you lessening your Blackness at all? Have you had to at all in the past? You know, will you moving forward if you reach a certain level of celebrity? Like, let us know.
Absolutely not. I don't think I've had to lessen my Blackness. I can't think of an instance of me doing that in the past. And as of right now, I don't do it. I mean, I think I just, you know, put it out there. I just put who I am out there for anybody to see, and whatever happens, happens. Now, as far as reaching a more diverse audience, I do think that it may be important to kind of speak to those different audiences. So whether that is topics or something that they're interested in, or having somebody on your show who can speak to that audience a little bit more, I think that that's important. But at least to get that diverse audience a little bit faster. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I just think, you know, you kind of have to put yourself out there and accept the people who accept you.
I know that's right. Thank you so much for that input. And then last but not least, we have Rodney. How do you feel? You know, how has your journey been with how you move when it comes to podcasting and being a creative? Have you ever felt like you needed to? Have you ever? And do you see yourself potentially doing that, you know, to reach a broader audience?
I mean, you know, I am who I am. You know, no need to either blacken it up or lessen, you know, my Blackness. So, you know, if you actually see me, I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. I like to wear hoodies and slides and sweatpants, but I subscribe to the Disney Channel, right? Because I like Marvel movies and Star Wars and, you know, graphic T-shirts. But if you go back a little further, in the late 80s and the early 90s, I was in the streets. So whatever that was, you know, that crack era, I was out there. So that's just, you know, that's the lens I'm coming from. I'm all of those things. You know, I'm a piece of all those things, but I'm not any particular thing. I'm in a podcast accountability group and I'm the only Black person in it. And 3 of the people are from the UK, and 1 person from Texas, and the other person is from North Carolina. And, you know, I'm definitely not against reaching out for a more diverse audience, but, you know, the stuff that I've just revealed about myself, that's my lens. And if it translates, to a diverse audience, then, so be it.
I can appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. I do have a follow-up question for you, and then I'm gonna go to Dev. You talked about this podcast accountability group. I've never heard of that, but I feel like that is really dope because I feel like as a podcaster, we can kind of like forget the ultimate goal, which is to podcast and get our word out and get our message out. So to have someone there to support us and to encourage us and to motivate us is actually a good thing. If you can, real quick, just explain specifically what that is and how that's been going.
Okay, so it's been a little bit over a year. The person that advertised it asked some people if they wanted to be involved in it. So, and then he had to DM them, and he asked a few questions, and then he picked up some people. And basically, there's Voxer that we do our check-ins every day on the Voxer, just kind of talking about how our day is. And then every Monday we have a Skype where somebody gets on the hot seat. So whatever the topic is that particular day, whether it's, and it doesn't have to be about podcasting, it could be, you might just be struggling that day. So say, for instance, you're going to be in the hot seat next Monday, but somebody else says, you know what, I had a rough week. I want to be in the hot seat. I need some motivation. I need some tips, audio, about video, and everybody gets a chance to go at your head, and push you and guide you. And, and I think that helps because, like I said, I went from being a co-host, and it was like about 6 or 7 months before I recorded another episode. And part of it was me, not wanting to do it an individual podcast, and getting in that group kind of, he gave us the 7 whys, like, why you want a podcast. We had to, with homework, it was, we did this weird thing where in December, we had to come on there and say what podcast gave us 25 days of Christmas. So on the first day of Christmas, podcasting gave to me, and he used the alphabet. So you had to figure out something with an A. So you had to do a little research. You had to come on, and then we got into singing it, and so it's just stuff that get in but he only wanted you to do like a minute, and we didn't know what he was doing. Somebody tells you to come on, but at the end of December, he goes, that's 25 minutes of content. That's an episode. So, he just like creative stuff like that, little things like that. So
that's super dope. Yeah. That's super dope. I hope a lot of us, if we don't have that, we can possibly try to incorporate that during our journey of whatever we're doing creatively, because I feel like that's a dope idea. Before I move on to Dev, we did have Milan that said she wanted to ask you a question. So Milan, you have the question you wanted to ask, and kind of keep it, be conscious of the time as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Just curious, he mentioned going solo, and for anybody who, the solo podcasters out here, were you nervous? And also with being nervous, what were the setbacks? So did you ever feel like talking, like what was your minimum of talking? Like how long was too long for you to talk? Or what made you, like, what was your goal? How long did you feel like was a good time limit, time frame to talk as a solo podcaster?
Yeah, it depends on the topic. If I feel like the message is, getting across, then I'll just go with it. But I generally probably, if I'm doing by myself, probably like a half hour of talking, because like I said, I love that instant feedback. And, when I'm talking, if I do some bullet points and, I go over them. If I don't have the instant feedback, there may be something else in there in my talking points or another direction you can go. But when you're doing it by yourself, it's just like, okay, here's what I want to say. And, I want to get that off. So, but I'm nervous doing this. I'm nervous when I record. I'm nervous every time I interview somebody. I'm always nervous. It's just, it's something I want to do. So I just go fight through it.
That's real. That's real. Yeah. I'm busting Dev out, but me and Dev was both nervous too. Before we did all this, we was like, we about to meet these people for the first time. We don't know how this gonna go, but we all came. We're all here. We're all speaking up. It's a good vibe so far. I do want to say before I go to Dev that Milan look good, y'all. Like, I'm sorry, I just have to say that she has a beautiful smile. I just want to say that. I know it's not on topic, but I would be remiss if I didn't. So moving on to Dev, Okay.
So
Deb, I do want to, but before you answer the question, I know what we didn't do in the beginning is we kind of, for the listeners, give a definition or like explain what we mean by when we say lessening our blackness. Because we didn't do that, everybody answered to their ability, but just kind of for some context purpose, what would be your definition? And then you can go in and answer that question and move on to the next question. If you can, please.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I'll answer it quickly. First of all, everybody looks good as fuck. Milan, you definitely look good. Everyone looks definitely good as fuck too. Okay, so we all are here looking good. But I mean, lessening your blackness, like I forgot who said it. Was it Sydnee or Niteria? But one of the ladies from the bar coded chat said, like, in so many words, like, no, fuck that. Like you're gonna get what I'm giving you. You know what I'm saying? Like this is my blackness. I'm not gonna dumb it down for you. But belittling your blackness is basically, I mean, appeasing to a white audience. And so, irritating. I wasn't ready to answer that question, but I was ready to move on to my to my question. But yes, that is, I guess, what it means to dumb down your blackness in the podcast. And I also want to say blackness is not monolithic. That's what I was going to say before being presented that question. Blackness is not monolithic. Like in our podcast, I'm more of the PC one of the two of us with regard to thinking of disabled people. Not to say that JB doesn't care, because he does, but being the one that thinks about disabled, queer, trans, women. I just want to make sure that while I'm not going to dumb down what I need to say, I'm also going to be cognizant of how I'm saying it and making sure that I'm not offending anyone. But let's move on to the next question. So I'm going to throw this over to the New York Dose first, as one of the longest running shows on our panel today. What would you tell a fellow Black podcaster or a podcaster of color that feels like the market is too saturated? JB touched on that at the top of the episode. Like, what would you tell someone and that might be discouraged, and what are some words of encouragement that you would give them?
Yes.
I would definitely let them know that everybody has an individual story. Your story is not yet told. Podcasts are stories at the end of the day, whether it's a pre-written story or one that you're coming up with on the spot, or whatever. Podcasting is storytelling. And if we each have individual story to tell, then the market can never be too saturated unless you have an evil twin running around. But yeah, definitely don't do what you got to do,
Yeah, and totally agree with that. I mean, we all have different perspectives. We all have different views on things. So I think it's important to share that as much as you can. But also, like, maybe do some more research too. Like, maybe really seeing, like, okay, what is out there, Let me see, how can I make mine stand out more? Like, oh, maybe you do have like a similar idea or something, but like, how can I make that me? So I think taking that time to research too. Like, yes, you are different. Yes, you have a different story. Yes, you have a different perspective, but also, take the time to do that research and think like, okay, this is already here, but how can I make this better? Or like input my perspective into it.
What's my niche?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And Milan, I'm going to you, so I just want you to be ready. So, so in your episode Dilemma, one of the episodes that you recently released, you already spoke earlier about being the oldest child. I'm the oldest child as well, so I share that with you. But you also talked about soaking in your losses, celebrating your losses, and figuring out the direction that you're going in with the podcast. What words of encouragement, I guess, would you say, or what would you tell a fellow podcaster as one of the newer podcasts that's on the panel today?
Consistency was the first thing that came to mind. Being consistent. You're not going to know everything. Like, for example, I am not, the best editor in the world. And I told a friend of mine, he's a big content creator. I was like, hey man, I need some help on this podcast. And I was probably nerve-wracking for about 4 or 5 months before I even decided to just jump straight in and do this. And he always kind of like brushed me off. And I'm like, you know what, screw it, fuck it. I'm about to just figure it out on my own. We're gonna rock and roll and keep it moving. But I would just say consistency. Don't let anyone deter you. If this is something you want to do, just do it. You know, jump in.
No, absolutely. And with consistency, don't be afraid to mess up. Like if you miss a day, you know what I'm saying? Like, oops, I forgot to upload it, you know. It's all good. You're gonna be able to move on from there. Now, Kenny, as someone that works for Blavity, like what was your journey and how could you encourage someone like me that's unemployed and trying to grow in ranks of working and figure myself out within this journey? What encouragement would you give to someone?
Yeah, I would say, you know, maybe I would say to anybody, just like shifting the mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. So instead of thinking like, okay, you know, it's oversaturated, there's way too many people like me doing it, maybe think like, oh my gosh, you know, there's all these beautiful other Black podcasters out here who I can collab with, who I can network across with, you know what I'm saying, instead of competing with. And really, when I think about my journey, it's really just about like humility. Like I was like on a lot of podcasts and like Instagram live stuff. And you know, that might not seem glamorous to other people, but for me, who didn't have that experience, it was the world. You know, I was preparing for those like I would prepare to talk to Karuchi or Debbie Allen. You know what I'm saying? That came months later. So just like really being humble and just knowing that, you know, what's for you is gonna be for you, and just having peace in that. And I think what helps that mentality is just not comparing yourself, because you just got to know that you a boss. You know, we're all bosses, and you know, boss stuff is gonna happen for you. Boss shit is on the horizon. So that's what I would tell people.
Yes, like New York don't say, period. Period. Rodney, what about for you? What would you, as a solo, another solo podcaster like Milan, what encouragement would you give to someone in this seemingly super saturated field?
Well, I just looked it up, and 144 million Americans listen to podcasts. So there's a market there. I mean, that's really all I would say about that. You know, there's a lot of people out there, and that's just in America. So, you know, you're going to get listens from overseas. So you can include that in there. If you want to niche it down to something specific, you know, and then work your way from that. But I would say just think about how much, if you think about programming, if you think about how many apps there are, whether, like I said, I mentioned Disney, you got Netflix, you got Amazon Prime, you think about all these, they're not, and it seems like another one pops up every time you turn around, right? And it's content. People are looking for content. We may be moving into a new world where people going to spend more time at home. I've seen on the news that, I forgot which company it was, they made it clear that the employees don't have to come back. They're letting them work wherever they at. So some people are not, you know, or working out. Think about people working out in the gym that want to listen to something, or people that run. There's a lot of people out there that may be listening, and somebody did say your story has not been told. So, and you know, I work loosely with a radio station, internet radio station here, and you know, one of the things the program director said was, if you got one person, you know, just talk to that one person. Don't look at it like, especially if you don't see the numbers, you know. So we want to jump in and see a bunch of downloads, and we want to do our Instagram live and, you know, see the comments scrolling and people interested in it. Do the work. You know, just do the work.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think Twitter was the original company that came out and said everyone can work from home indefinitely. And then from there, Facebook and everyone else followed up. But absolutely, like we look at these celebrities, I think we can all attest to this. We look at these celebrities that jump on board, and we've been working our asses off for however long we've been working, but you already have a platform, and then you're saying they're getting millions of streams, and you're like, well, I've been doing this for years and I'm still only getting on average 3,000 a month. Like, and that's, you know, to us our average, but it's like high to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, how y'all get millions and I've been working my ass off. But barcoded chats, what would you say?
I definitely agree. I agree with Kenny. You definitely don't want to compare yourself to anybody. We were actually just talking about that this past week. We're not
doing the comparing. I had to get out of that.
Yes, we're not comparing, and we're big into manifesting what we want and what we have our main focus on with the podcast in the future. So yeah, we literally manifest all the time.
It's like New York Doe said, like, we see this bigger picture. Like, yeah, we jumped into it, but we just like, we want this to be so much more, and we believe it can be so much more. So as long as we just stay in that mind frame, and like Milan said, stay consistent. Like, honestly, to this day, we really haven't missed an upload, maybe like one, but we are really trying to like just stay consistent and stay on top of it. So
yes, just keep pushing, because baby, I almost missed the upload one day and I said, oh my God. So we're gonna go to Elias and we're gonna go to Jared. Elias.
Yeah, consistency is key. Like, that is definitely a big thing for me. And also evolving. Something that, you know, you hear a lot of music artists say is that they're constantly reimagining their music or who they are, whatever. And that, I feel, as creators, we need to constantly be evolving, keep peeling back layers to ourselves, and just keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing forward, staying consistent. I think that is one way that people will see your hard work if you stay consistent with it.
No, yes, absolutely. And it can be difficult to push the envelope. I'm not going to lie, trying to figure out new ways to innovate yourself, but it's definitely important. Jared.
Yeah, I would echo what everybody else said, but I would also add not to get carried away with social media. And I think, you know, I think it's important. I think it's important to put yourself out there, and that's a good way to kind of get more listeners. But I know it's hard. I say that, and it's hard for me to get out of comparing myself on social media and seeing people with 10,000 followers. And then I'm like, okay, let me do all this stuff to put my get my social media numbers up. It's a little bit of a game, but it's not the meat of what you're doing as a podcaster. You really need to focus on the bigger picture. And I think that is probably one of the things that I would say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The bigger picture, and why, and tapping into the why, right? Like, why you're doing this. Like, we're not doing this for the following. We're not doing this for thousands of followers. We're doing this so we can tell our story and get our story out there and have our voices heard with what we want to say. So JB has the last question. And I don't know if we'll get to everybody, but JB has his final question. Go ahead, JB.
Yes. So, I mean, as far as like the last question that was just asked, though, I do want to say I agree with everyone's input. You know, it was definitely consistency and, you know, not focusing on competition and all that. I completely agree. I would add too, is that something that I've been focusing on a lot lately is legacy, and like what my name will be after I'm gone or when I stop. So it's really important to me that when I'm passed away, because we all got to go, that I can leave something here that leaves a mark for what I was, like what I did. You know, I want kids, but if I don't have kids, at least I can have a podcast that I was talking to Dev the other day. One of our episodes, we were literally talking about the insurrection and like the election. And when you just think about what that conversation will mean 20 years from now, it's history. It's something that I hold dear and close to me, because I'm like, this is kind of like a journal that everyone gets to listen to. So I think when you have that type of mindset and you're focused on legacy and leaving something positive for the world when you're long gone, it motivates you to continue on. And that actually leads me to my next question. Hopefully everyone, we're actually doing really great on time. Thank you guys for, answers and everything like that. What kind of impact do you guys believe or want? Let's say, what kind of impact do you guys believe your podcast or what you're doing creatively has had on the Black community overall? So what kind of impact do you guys believe that your podcast or what you're doing creatively has had, or what kind of impact do you want your podcast or what you're doing creatively to have for the Black community? I'll go ahead and ask, I think Elias Elias, we can go start with you. What do you want? What kind of impact do you want?
I can't say if I've had a big impact or not on the Black community at this point, because, I'm a little production over here, but I do know that I want my impact to be laughter. I love to entertain. I want, when someone watches my show, not only will you receive some sort of message or you get some sort of knowledge or tidbit, but you're going to have fun doing it. That's why I do my show the way I do it. I bring on my guests and we get blasted drinking, but we'll talk about real ass shit. So, I not only do I want to be able to impart knowledge, but I really just want to entertain. I want to put smiles on everyone's face, because I feel like the world is dark and gloomy as it is. If we just took 2020 itself, that was a shit show. So I just want whatever I do to put a smile on someone's face.
Cool. Well said. I appreciate that. Then we're going to go over to Kenny. What kind of impact do you believe with your articles, your amazing articles, and what you do as a creative has had for the Black community, or even more, what would you want your impact to be towards the Black community?
Thank you, JB. I get a lot of emails and comments from people, aside from like the haters, that's the bad side, but on the good side, I get a lot of correspondence from people who say that, I read this article and I feel seen, I feel represented, and I've been on other platforms where I've talked about my journey a little bit more in-depthly and like conquering, those obstacles. So I really want my legacy to be, just some of empowerment. I want to empower people to be their very best selves, their fabulous, bright selves. And I want to empower people to just like walk in their truth and to be confident in who they are and what they bring to the table. And just like, I use the term boss a lot, just that know that they're a boss, know that, they do boss shit and that they're just an amazing person, because I feel like we live in a world where people kind of, shame you for loving yourself or just liking yourself or even daring to think that, you're great, like, no, fuck that. Fuck the haters, know that you are amazing. And I want somebody to look at me and say, oh, Kenny, he's empowered me to think this way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you say that, I do remember reading one of your articles in your interviews with Karuchi, and like the way it was, and like just the type of conversation it was, and how you were making her feel really comfortable and like asking relevant questions was like a strong hitter for me. I was like, okay, like this is really, really dope. Like just the way you presented it, it was just really, really dope. So I hear what you're saying, and I know it's absolutely true. We're gonna go over to Jared. Jared, how do you feel? What kind of impact would you want, or do you believe has already had for the Black community, your podcast and what you do creatively?
I really started Boys and Brunch as a way to, I guess I don't want to say distract, but I don't know what the word is, but you get what I'm trying to say. I want to get away from the craziness that's going on. I started this Boys and Brunch last year, 2020. So everybody already knows, we got to do something else than sit in misery all day. So that's why I started. And that's what I think the impact has been so far. I've gotten a lot of people, you know, live chatting with us, and it's been fun, and we've kind of grown a little bit of a community. And that is kind of the lasting impact that I want to have. I really want to build a community. I call them the Gorgeois. So that's gorgeous plus bougie. So you know, and if y'all get my vibe, you know, I'm a little bit of both. So so yeah, right. So we're the Gorgeois, and anybody else out there listening that wants to join us can join us. But yeah, that's the impact I want to have. I want to get people together, get people who may have felt like they can't really find that community, or feel maybe out of step somewhat or socially or whatever. And I want to build a space for them that's positive and is joyful.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And, you know, from our interactions on social media, like I've gotten that from you. I feel like you've been a joyful person, you know, very entertaining. And I'm so glad that you joined this call because, you know, we're getting to know you and getting to know each other. And so I'll pose the question now to the New York Dose. Like, I feel like I already know what y'all gonna say. I'm loving the vibe too, you know. Your production is also really, really amazing. So what do you guys feel? We all wanna hear, like, what kind of impact do you want to have for, you know, I guess you guys can say for both communities, right? For two communities that you represent, or even multiple communities, what kind of impact do you want to have, or what kind of impact do you believe you've had for the intersected communities that you guys represent?
Yes, I mean, I feel like what we've been doing is giving a platform to a lot of young entrepreneurs, artists, mostly Black and Latina, Latinx, guests that we had. So I feel like that was the main reason why I loved New York Dose, because we were able to interview these people like either at the start or like at that moment when they're about to, you know, rise, or in their business or in their art. So I'm a very behind the scenes, like I love the process. I love hearing those type of stories, because one is inspiring, and two, it just really makes you feel like you could connect on that level. So yeah, I want to keep on giving those type of people the reputable platform that, you know, that we give. And also like, that you're getting a taste of New York. Like, we're born and raised, like I'm from Washington Heights, uptown New York. Derek is from Brooklyn. So it's like, I want to continue, like anywhere we go, like that we bring that too, because we feel like, everyone, we love every state, but New York, it's kind of where it's at. So we just feel like, we just want to bring that everywhere too, that type of energy, like we're like that vibrant, like a lot of comments that we get when people come is like, they just really feel like they just chilling with us, like we don't treat anyone less. Or like, we had some people who had the numbers, and then we had some people that, didn't, quote unquote on paper. But it's like, it doesn't really matter to us. We just want to hear your story and like that process, and kiki and have fun, have a good time. Like, we on the stoop, so I want to continue to bring that everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to toot, but the New York Dose is a motherfucking vibe. Like, it's such a vibe. Like, you fuck with us, we fuck with you. It's like, we have had guests that come, and after just like 20 minutes or something like that, they'll be like, you made us feel so comfortable. Like, we just feel like we've known y'all for so long. Like, and it's authentic because we love everybody. You know what I'm saying? And we especially love us. And it's like, you gonna fuck with us when like, it's a little gift. You gonna fuck with us. Gonna fuck with us.
And continue to share those stories. Like from, I'm Dominican, Afro-Latina, like he's Costa Rican. Like, so it's just like, continue to share those stories from us, like from our friends, from my family, like is important as well. So it's like, that's how I feel like the impact has been. And like, of course, on our Instagram too, on our social media, we share a lot of information when it comes to our culture. So
promoting one another, the businesses, and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take us to kind of uplift each other, like we can't expect any other community or, God forbid, white people to do it for us. Well, from my personal experience. So, I always try to support, each other. We say this all the time on our podcast and our platform is that we're literally for each other. Like we support one another. We want to uplift each other. So I appreciate that. And that blazer is dope as fuck. Like, let's be clear. I'm like, okay, I know that's everything. I'm gonna have to find out where you got that from. So we're gonna move over to Milan again. Hey, how do you feel that you want your what kind of impact do you want your podcast to leave, or what kind of impact do you want your podcast to have moving forward for the Black community?
I'd say owning your mistakes, jumping out there, not being afraid of failure, understanding life lessons, obstacles you face, accepting things won't always be okay, because they won't. Understanding the value of partnership. I'm a big relationship fanatic, guys. I've been in and out of relationships for a long time. It's not a good thing or a bad thing, but hey. Understanding the value of partnership and communication and not being afraid of therapy. That has been my lifesaver. So that's an impact. Just not being your authentic self at the end of the day and not being afraid of those mistakes you make along the way,
Okay, absolutely. I can agree with all that. And, Dev is actually a huge advocate for therapy as well. We have a whole episode where Dev's like, go to therapy and do this and da-da-da. I'm like, let people do what they're going to do. But yes, go to therapy. I guess we could go to Rodney next, and we'll end with Niteria and Sydnee, saving the best, y'all, for last. How do you feel, Rodney, about, impact and legacy? Like, what do you want to leave, and what's your impact to have for the Black community?
Well, the main thing is as I move along and I get a little bit more transparent with my life, I want people to be able to be okay with the mistakes they've made. And, just to piggyback a little bit off of what Milan was saying, and you mentioned therapy for our men, for Black men in particular, take care of that mental health, because our burden is different. And even our kids carry those burdens way before they need to. And if you watch the news, or if you're looking at TV, or if you grow up in a certain neighborhood, there's a certain, stigma you carry with you. Like the New York dose, there's a certain, like when you hear New York, there's a certain, swag that comes with New York. There's a certain expectation, the city that never sleeps. If you can make it there, you can make it everywhere, those type of things. But it also comes with, some negative stuff when people think, if you're from like Washington Heights or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Well, because I'm right here. I'm in Connecticut. I'm in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm right up the street from y'all. So, so I just want for the men, I want to be an example and, let people know specifically to take care of themselves. It's very important to take care of yourself. And like I said, as I become more transparent in things that I've gone through, when you listen to the episodes and you listen to the type of things I talk about, or you listen to the people that I'm going to interview, you'll see, okay, this dude he's okay in his skin. He's okay talking whoever about whatever. And he came from a similar background as me.
Nice. Like someone was saying earlier, we all have a story. I didn't know there was that many listeners on that tuned in. You said 160 million or something like that tuned into the podcast. Like, that's a lot of people. Like, I'm going to work even harder. But last but not least, we have Niteria and Sydnee from Barcoded Chats. You guys' background is dope. Like, what I'm saying? Y'all look good, and then you got the background right there. I know that's right. Was ready. So how do you guys want your legacy, your impact to have on the Black community? Young Black women that are coming up that possibly want to be podcasters or creative yourself. Like, how do you want to be represented in the Black community for what you're doing right now?
So kind of like Elias said, we are still getting our footing and we have like a small, but we're growing steadily. And so we're happy about that. And so basically, when we started our stuff, it's kind of about getting to the nitty gritty and kind of turning some of those controversial kind of Black stigmas, Black topics, turning them on their heads and getting people talking. And we love opposing viewpoints because we have two totally different viewpoints over here. We are kind of opposite, but that I think is what makes our show work so well. So you're gonna really kind of get a different perspective, and you're not gonna hear two people like just going after the same thing.
Right. Yeah, we definitely talk about controversial topics and topics people are scared to talk about. And we like to have guests that are comfortable talking about those topics as well. So it can make your audience feel like, okay, not just them, but they also have somebody else out there that also feels this way or that way. Because I know we have like a light skin versus dark skin episode coming up.
Yes, we do.
Y'all know that's a very controversial topic right now in the Black community. So yeah, so that's just, it's exciting. It's not going to be just, a debate. It's also going to be exciting and the positive things that come from it as well. So
yeah, that episode, because it's going to be kind of about progression within the Black community as well, because I feel like seeing this today, like being a part of this, we are progressing so much as a community every day, and like believing in ourselves and finding ourselves and saying, this is what we're going to do. We're tired of people on these walls and these ceilings and all of this stuff that they keep trying to throw at us. And I feel like we can all just only keep going up from here. All them 160 million, plenty people for all of us in here to reach out to.
Right.
So.
Yes.
Well said. Well said. We appreciate that so much. That was a good one. Y'all came through with that.
And let me just say how empowered I feel with all of you all, with all of us here together, all of these amazing shows, careers. I'm just so empowered and invigorated and just excited to move forward with our show. And I hope you all feel the same way with your shows and your careers and how you're moving. We all got each other. We got each other's backs. We'll connect offline after we finish this recording. But before we go, did you want to answer that question, JB? I want to get.
Oh, no. I wanted you to answer that question though. Yeah.
Oh, well, no, just really quick. The purpose of starting this podcast was just to have the taboo conversations. And I just want to have an everlasting just conversation. We were having a conversation about 2 episodes ago where we were talking about our legacy and what our grandkids and our great-great-grandkids, when they listen to stuff and watch us on YouTube later down the line, what they would think when they listen to us. And it's like, okay, I want them to feel human. I want them to feel like, okay, they can tap into understanding that this is not a new experience. It's a shared experience. This is not something that you should be scared to go through. Like, learn from it, take the experience, learn from it, pass on the lesson, but not the experience within itself. Don't pass on the trauma, but pass on that lesson that you've learned.
Absolutely.
So that's what I want to have as far as the legacy of this. But I want to give everyone the opportunity to shout out their tags and where people can follow you at. And, I guess we'll go in the same order that we were introduced in and have everyone shout out their stuff where people can follow you: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. So we can start.
And also say some closing words. So if you want to say some closing, uplifting words to fellow podcasters, people that are going to be listening to this, definitely, add that into your closing remarks. If you want to, just to put that positive energy out there, because we need it. We definitely need it. Things are starting to get better, but everyone right now needs that positive energy and those positive affirmations. So
absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to start with the Barcoded Chats podcast.
All right. Well, I guess just for anybody watching, everybody watching, just go forward and just kind of wake up every day and make sure to set your intentions and just believe in yourself. Always bet on you, because I don't know if you can all probably attest to this. This takes a little bit of money to do, to get kind of started with things. So definitely an investment in yourself to like really make this grow. So
okay. And then where can people follow you
let
from?
anybody hold you back. I know that we were both kind of you can follow me at Lil_Teria on all social medias, and you can follow us at Barcoded Chats on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
YouTube. Yeah, if you just go to Barcoded Chats, you'll find our personal pages, you'll find all of our stuff. We have a website. So please check us out. We got episodes coming every week for you, every Friday. So just stay scanned in with us, y'all.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Okay,
we were losing you a little bit. We ultimately got
yeah, we'll put it in the notes. We'll put all you guys' ad names in the notes. No, it's all good. It's all good. We understand. And then on to Kenny, my boy Kenny.
Yep. You guys can find me on Instagram at Kennyonce. Yes, I love Beyonce, but it's spelled KENNYONCE. You can find me on Twitter at the same handle, but with just an extra E. So at KENNYONCEE. I guess my advice to, just creatives and, people just grinding is, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. So whether that's to like your boss or your superior or just the God, the ancestors, the universe, like don't be afraid to ask and, manifest it, whether that's a vision board and just speak things into existence and speak things over your life. Because you will be amazed at like the seeds that you plant, which can be good or they can be bad depending on what you're planting. So thank you guys.
Boom.
Thank you. And okay, Jared, you ready?
You can find me at Jared D. King just about everywhere. I think the only exception is YouTube, which is just Jared King, but search Boys and Brunch, search Jared D. King, you'll find it. And the advice that I would give to everybody out there, or the positive words that I want to leave with everybody is we're going through a rough time now, but we're almost through it. So just just grit your teeth and let's just hang in there for a little bit. It's gonna get a little bit better soon.
Yes.
Amen. And then next up we have Milan. Any last words you would like to say, and you want to give out your handle and your screen names?
You definitely follow me on the Black Book Podcast on Instagram, pretty much any other social media website. As far as like the last bit of words, I would say your mind is your biggest obstacle. Once you overcome that fear of no, the doors to yes immediately begin to open. So.
Well said. That's some great words. Leaving some great words, y'all. Okay.
And we have Rodney. Final thoughts and where people can find you.
Yep, you can on Instagram. It's Love You to Life, and that's LOVEYOU, the number 2, and then period life. Facebook, Love You to Life podcast. Brother of a Certain Age on Anchor and all those things that they send it out to, all the different platforms. And if you want to hear the older stuff I did when I was doing with the co-host on YouTube, it's audio uploaded. It's Rod NCC podcast. So RODNCC and then podcast. And I would leave you guys with, if you want to get some motivation and talk about the process and how to stay with it, I'll leave you guys to look up the story about the man who planted a forest in India. 30 years of his life, he went down and continued to plant trees, and eventually the wildlife and everything, came back. It was a desolate area. So he did that for 30 years of his life. He walked down there I don't know how many trees he planted each time, but he walked down there, planted trees, and then after 30 years, he totally restored the area. So if you want a little motivation, check that out.
Ooh, thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Next up, we have Elias the First. You want to let everyone know where they can find you and give some last words, encouragement, or?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, you guys can all find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok now. Oof. I'm not a TikToker, but my team told me I have to have it. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and soon there will be a Facebook at Elias the First. That is with 2 T's at the end of first. And just my words of encouragement is keep pushing. And something I also should have mentioned earlier is whatever you believe in, whether it's God, the universe, the moon, the earth, the grass, whatever you believe in that higher power, lean on that, trust yourself, and put your faith out there, because when God's for you, who can be against you?
Absolutely.
Heard.
Absolutely.
Heard. And last but definitely not least, like I said, at the top of the show, we have the New York Dose. Where can they find you? What's some words of wisdom, encouragement?
You can find us anywhere at the New York Dose. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're there. And yeah, I mean, my last words, I would just say, trust yourself. You got this. Try not to overthink, block out the noise, and just keep it tunnel vision. Yeah.
I would say you be you. You are your only story. As Black content creators, we must tell our story. We are more than the boat ride over here, okay? We must tell our story. Tell your story. Don't let anybody tell you not to tell your story. I don't give a fuck how saturated this market is. You are your only story. Tell it. That's it.
Yes.
What I tell you, people from I love New York. I love everything. Yeah. Y'all really just be getting to the nitty gritty. Like,
listen, I don't love everywhere, but I definitely love New York. You cannot love New York.
Well, you travel, you love everywhere, but New York. Listen, my best friend.
Get out now, but
you said what? What you say?
It's a little, slow and a little dirty over here right now, but we gonna make it through.
Listen, everything that y'all said is everything. Like, every word of advice that y'all gave, like, encouraged me. And JB and I've been doing this for going on 3 years in June. And this is just like being in this space. And I really hope listeners have gotten something and gained something from this. Creatives, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, if you're thinking about being an actor, if you're thinking about being a singer, anything that's in the realm of being a creative, in our society is difficult, but we hope that these words have pushed you and motivated you to keep pushing, keep moving. You are your own storyteller. You're the only person that will be here on the face of this earth from the time you were born to the time that unfortunately you passed away. Like, you are the only you that there will ever be. So tell your story, keep pushing, put your shit out there, block the noise, keep moving.
Absolutely.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Yes, and I completely echo everything that Dev said, completely, times 3. Echo everything that Dev said. And again, I appreciate you guys so much for coming on today and this evening. And, I feel like this went so seamless, and I'm taking all of you guys' words and encouragement and, your stories and carrying on with how we, manage our podcast. And I definitely will be supporting each and every one of you guys. If you guys want us to give you a shout out, or we try to cover everybody and reach out and support everyone, but sometimes we miss. So if you guys want a shout out, or if you guys want to collaborate in any way, please let us know, because we're definitely, like I keep on saying, we're for us. We're definitely for us. And we just want everybody to, to have a good time and, be good on their journey. So that's what I'm going to say. You want to wrap it up, Dev?
Yes. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you got something from it. Check in next week where there will be a new episode, and listen to every podcast. Every single person that you heard today, okay? Because they give some dope content, okay? We love y'all. Take care of yourselves. Since you're over the pandemic, doesn't mean the pandemic is over, okay? So wear your mask, take care of yourself. We love y'all.
Take care, y'all. Peace.